everybody, and welcome to a new episode from Beyond YouTube channel. Our guest for today is Professor Iman Gal, Dean of Faculty of Education at the British University in Dubai. She is here today to discuss the inclusivity in higher education. Hello, Professor Iman.
Hi.
Thank you for being with us today.
You're most welcome.
Professor Iman, what is your definition of diversity?
Diversity means different things to different people, but in a nutshell, diversity really means appreciation of differences. This is where you really appreciate everybody, regardless of race, gender, nationality, and whoever he is. This is what diversity means to me in a nutshell.
How do you encourage people to honor the uniqueness of each individual?
You just said it, every person is unique, and the uniqueness of each individual is self-explanatory. I always ask people to appreciate differences and don't look at differences as bad or worse. Look at differences as embracing diversity rather than looking for mistakes or fault. If you have something that I don't have, it doesn't mean that you're better than me. It just means you're different from me. This is how I encourage people to look at diversity, and you should appreciate the distinctiveness of the individual.
Okay, and how do you challenge stereotypes and promote sensitivity and inclusion?
Well, I work in disability, which is an area that is very sensitive by default. So if you look at any person who's different, and specifically a person with disability, stereotypes goes with this person. The way we deal with the stereotypes, and I've been for many years looking at awareness, for example, the way we deal with stereotypes is we give small exercise, for example, about strengths rather than weaknesses. I remember that at one of our trainings with one of the foundations here, I asked parents to list the strength of their children, and they shared one thing in common. They all had children with disabilities. And they said, you know what, this is the first time that somebody actually asked her to list the strengths. This is how we challenge the stereotype. Don't only look at the weakness, always look at the strength as well. Because every individual has his own strengths and weaknesses. If we only focus on the weakness, that's not going to get us anywhere.
Okay, and how do you reach diverse group or traditionally unserved communities?
Oh my God, I have a long-term interest in reaching diverse group. Basically, I remember one day, okay, you name a diverse group that basically, or a minority group that was always stigmatized. If you look at people with intellectual disability, for example, and as a founder of the Emirates Down Syndrome Association, I remember many years ago, I took a big group of people with Down syndrome. We call this the boo effect, boo, you know? Yeah. So with the shock effect. Not many people do this because sometimes when you shock cultures, you shake cultures. So I remember I took them to a famous mall that is known to be for the elites, and we all had big breakfast. We just sat there and we had breakfast. It's just very simple. And everybody would pass by and say, oh, hang on a minute, why do people look the same? Why do they look different? And then we started to give out leaflets. So the boo effect, the shocking effect, the shaking the culture effect, go into the heart of the matter. Do not wait for people to appreciate your diverse interest or diverse identity. Go, and self-advocacy is a big thing. Take the people who are minority, who think they are not very included in society, and make a big fuss about it and say, this is who we are. Come, we don't bite, talk to us.
Okay, and why do you think it's important to address the equity and the diversity issue in higher education?
Well, higher education is a big thing, and I've been writing. I'm a researcher, and this is a very, very well-established research institute, so I believe in numbers and research and qualities of research, etc. When we ask people about equity, not many people knew about it, because equity is not equality. Equality is when you give everybody the same, but equity when you appreciate the distinctiveness of each individual and do something with it. And in this British University in Dubai, I am very proud to say that we appreciate every individual. If you just one look at even at our staff, you will tell, but I would like diversity to go beyond the nationality, because any place in Dubai will be diverse. I mean, you look at the nationality of people, the background, but it goes beyond. It's an appreciation of the distinctiveness of the individual that makes us a very good family.
And how would you advocate for diversity education and diversity initiatives in higher education for those who don't know or who don't see the value of this?
I say diversity brings better attitude. I say inclusivity brings with it appreciation of diversity. I feel that when we are different, we learn so much from each other. In higher education, specifically, one look at our undergraduate program, you can see that we have people on the autistic high function spectrum. We have people who are different in own way. I see strength in that. I advocate for that by saying, if we are all the same, if we are all selective and elite, we're not going to bring anything to each other. But if we are all different, there is always something you learn from a different person, even though he is, I would say, lesser, he is different in intellectual ability, he is different in physical ability, or even the way he thinks. So I see difference, I see positivity in everything. I'm a positive person by nature. But actually in higher education, I think lately now, inclusivity in higher education is super interesting topic. It's a hot topic. And universities are marked now and inspected for their diversity and inclusivity. Like, 100 years ago, universities were inspected for their uniqueness and how they are elite and selective. Now, you judge a good university by looking at its diverse group of people.
And Fatima, what do you think the best or the scenario or the best strategy that can introduce diversity to higher education and for those who have no idea or didn't meet new cultures?
Self-advocacy. Talking, people say that you have the fear of the unknown. I don't think people are devil by natures. I don't think people are stigmatizing and excluding people by nature. It's just we don't know people, so you feel, I don't know this person. So if you have a person with facial deformation, for example, if you have a person with an intellectual disability that is apparent, like Down syndrome, unfortunately the first thing you see in the syndrome is a syndrome, as they say. If you have a person with autism who just had the need to start to stand up and flap, or a person with Tourette syndrome with involuntary movement where, you have a choice of looking at the person. I see this as, oh, okay, it's just different. But if you see it as a person with a lesser value than you, then you have a problem, as they say. So I always say, ask people who advocate for the selectiveness and elite of, grouping people for their strengths. I say, well, you're missing out so much. This is how I see it.
Okay, now my next question for you is, how do you think, you as Professor Iman, what areas of diversity you think you need to learn more or to search more?
Well, my God, I have a plan for my retirement. I have so much to learn. But one of the things that I would like very much to focus on is early childhood education, because we, unfortunately, in my area, we only look at the students once because I'm in inclusive education, we start to deal with the child at kindergarten. I would like even to go one level down. I also would like very much to spend more time in looking at inclusivity beyond higher education, where actually people finish their education and employability. People now talk so much about the bullying at the workplace. For example, bullying is always known in schools. People now look at psychological matters and the well-being and the balance and the work-life balance. This is an area that I'm very much interested in. And finally, tying up positive education with inclusivity, because I think they go together. Positivity creates inclusivity and creates a better environment. We call this the least restrictive environment. I would love to see every single university, like our university, have what we call it the least restrictive environment. Appreciation, East and West, support, love, care, compassion, and reinforcing the value of diversity in its actual meaning, not just because we philosophically like diversity, we actually mean it.